Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great issue for you guys. I was actually able to get to all the books on my pull list this week, which was great. I was able to get to the shop on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Company was nice enough to let us all work remote, so it's like, all right, perfect. Go out during lunch, get all the books, was able to read all of them. So we got 6 books that are going to be from the current week, and then the remainder then will be backlogs, which then means next week's Omega run is going to be nothing but backlogs as well, which is cool. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Recording this on Friday, get it posted, of course, for Saturday morning. Ours is pretty good, nice and relaxing, so all good things there. I'll say for this episode, too, before we go ahead and jump in, very heavy on DC. So it's about 6 DC books, 0 Marvel. And I think this is probably the first time I've had 0 Marvel. I've maybe done like just 1 book or 2 books for sure, but I don't think I've ever had where I don't have anything that because mostly Miles Morales is the big one with like 40 issues of backlogs. So just kind of interesting. But DC, man, they cooked this week. So let's go ahead and talk about the pulls for this week. And as always, I like to go ahead and show off the picks of the week and just see how many of those books I actually got on mine. So looks like here, Absolute Batman, number 14. No surprise there once I read that. 57% of the vote. I have that. Of course, we'll review that today. Absolute Wonder Woman, number 14. 11% of the vote. Have that. We'll review it. DCKO, number 2. 9% of the vote. Have it. We'll review it. Then there's the Infernals. Hulk, number 1. 5% of the vote. I don't have that. And then the last one is a Batman Green Arrow, The Question. Arcadia, number 1, with 4% of the vote. So I don't have that one either. But I got 3 of the 5, which is good, and they're all the top 3, so not much more you can ask for that. So let's go ahead and jump to the polls. As you can see on the screen, 6. We read them all, and we'll review them all on the show. So we have Absolute Batman, number 14. Absolute Wonder Woman, number 14. DCKO, number 2. Hornsby and Halo, number 12. Justice League Unlimited, number 13. And then Skinbreakers, number 3. And reminder, when we go into these reviews, I am going to spoil the heck out of all of them, so just keep that in mind. If you're not into spoilers, it's just not going to be the show for you, but we'll go over the ratings, what I gave it, what Lee gave it, show off some of the artwork, try to catch you up on the story, my overall thoughts, and whether or not it's a good place to jump into that series. So I think with that, let's go ahead and jump into the reviews for this week. And so, 10 books as per usual. First up here we have, in this order for the audio folks, it's going to be Absolute Batman, number 14. Then we'll do Absolute Wonder Woman, number 14. Then Hornsby and Halo, number 12. Skinbreakers, number 3. DCKO, number 2. Justice League Unlimited, number 13. And then we start the backlogs from here. So we have Batman and Robin, number 15. This book, Kingdom Riders, it's not really broken up into chapters, so it's just the next section that I read for this week. Then Superman, this is the Multiplicity Volume 3 from 2017, and this one is issue number 16. And then last but not least is going to be Saga Volume 6. I believe this is issue 32. So those will be the books that we will review in that particular order. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. We're going to start off, like I mentioned, with Absolute Batman, number 14. This book is freaking incredible. This is the culmination of everything that we've been waiting for and building towards between the fight between Batman and Bane. And it is incredible. Lee gave it a 4.8. That might be the highest score I've seen. I've seen 4.7 for sure. I don't think I've seen a 4.9. I may have seen 1.48 before. I gave it a 5. This book is absolute
perfection.
I love this book. It is so incredible. It lands it exactly how you want it to land it. And on top of that, it is definitely the comic of the week. It's excellent. That being said, it's not really the one to jump into, unfortunately. However, if you just want an incredible action-filled comic book, this is the one. You're just going to miss all the story that's leading up to it. but it is truly just the action and the climax and the conclusion to the arc between our absolute Batman and Bane. So let's go ahead and jump into the review. Incredible story, incredible book, incredible artwork. What we have here is, and absolute Batman's been doing this throughout, a duality between two different stories, what's actually taking place, and then Batman pulling from something in his memory. So he's remembering the fight that his friend Waylon Jones, known as Killer Jones, when he took that UFC fight or the MMA fight or whatever, on short notice, it looked like he's going up against someone who's going to be completely destroy him. Killer Jones is definitely the underdog, and that's basically what Batman's going into here. So they pick a place and a time, and it's basically the football arena that is in Gotham, and it's completely abandoned, and it's Bane on one side, and it's Batman on the other. Preparation going into this thing. They are going to, now Batman, he's been injected with the Venom. He has 2 more doses to go. And the way that they plan it out, Alfred's like, I'm going to give you the 1 dose and see if you can handle it, because if you can handle it, great. If not, like, you're basically going to die right now. But there's no way you're going to be able to take on Bane without this Venom. So we want to test it to make sure you can handle it 1 now, and then the 2nd dose will then be in the actual fight. So we get to the fight. It's the 2 standing off, and Bane looks enormous as per usual. And we start things off in the most insane way, where I guess Batman and crew, they had the whole thing rigged before. They blow up this skyscraper, must have been an abandoned building standing next to the stadium, and they blow it up and pull the whole skyscraper down onto Bane. So that's how it starts. And then from there, Batman gets the advantage, but Bane starts using the Venom. So Bane gets in, you can see it too, in the scale that they do in this story is so good. And just the size that Bane is getting as he takes the Venom, the muscles are just growing. It's just getting larger and larger and larger. And he's withstanding everything. And so then they pull in the Batmobile, which remember is like a huge construction level dump truck, pull that down into Bane, hits him, but again, he just continues to use the juice. And it refers back to the doctor that's worked on Bane. She's like, he's just this marvelous specimen. He can handle this Venom no matter what. Just like the steroids. And steroid is like the lightest word that you could possibly use, but just injecting it over and over and over again, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So then it gets to the point where Batman looks like he's down and out. Bane's withstanding everything, and he gets hold of Batman, and it looks like he's going to get crushed and pummeled and completely die. Then, from out of nowhere, underneath the ground, comes Killer Croc, which we were introduced to before. Here's where the cover is as well, with Killer Croc biting the midsection of Bane. That happens in the book too. Takes a huge, enormous chunk out of Bane, and it looks like, okay, is he down and out now? Because he's like, his innards are hanging out and stuff. And no, not the case. Injects more Venom, starts to heal and regenerate as though he's Wolverine, and then of course it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point now where he has Bane, his hands onto the lizard, trying to like rip the jaws open as though it's like King Kong facing those dinosaurs in one of those King Kong movies. It gets to the point where he's about to rip it off. Then Batman jumps onto his back and he's able to like blind Bane, but the eyeball like basically regrows. It's like insane stuff. So then Killer Croc, or Way, is able to kind of retreat, and now it's back to just Batman and Bane fighting one-on-one. And now it's at the point now where Bane is just the size of the stadium almost, and Batman's just, still wheel Batman hasn't used his Venom yet. And here's where Bane's basically like, you have to use it, and he wants him to use it. He's almost like toying with him. Like, you have to use it. And then Alfred's screaming at him that he has to use it. And then finally, Bruce is like, all right, you want me to use it? I'll go ahead and use it. And so instead of him injecting himself, Catwoman is perched up on a balcony, she's got a sniper rifle, and it's loaded up with the Venom, and shoots Bane with it. And basically, they've planned it to the point where Bane used so much that he's gone, past the point of no return, and just continued to shoot him with the Venom, and it's such a high amount of dose that he continues to grow and grow and grow to the point of where he explodes. And then it has a quick little flashback to when they were going to test the Venom. They decided not to, extracted it with Catwoman, gave it to her to then use onto Bane. So Bane's now dead, just a pile of mush and muscles, completely dead. And Batman takes his big old dump truck, fills it up with the mush and muscle that is Bane, and then dumps him off into the river. And it looks like we're done with Bane. Insanity. Crazy story. Love the tie-in with the UFC and the MMA fight. And it looked like in that fight that Wei was getting his ass kicked. And then in like the miracle of all miracles, he does this like backflip while the other UFC guy has him in a chokehold. And when he does that backflip, the other wrestler lands on his neck. And then that's how Wei Jones is able to win that fight. So like almost by sheer luck. Basically what's happened here also for Batman in the way of destroying Bane. So Bane's gone. Or so you think. All that's left of him is his brain and his eyeballs. And the doctor that was working on him has him in this test tube. And so Bane is looking out, and they're trying to piece him all back together again. And there's a television in front of him, and the Joker shows up. It's just Jack Napier, but the Joker. He shows up, and he's like, Bane, I know you wanted to retire, and the whole point was really that Batman was going to be, or Bruce, the new specimen moving forward, and Bane could like kind of go off and do his own thing. But like, we need you, Bane. We need you back in the fight. And so we're going to, get you all healed up and patched up and start using the Venom again. I know you wanted to go back home to the island, which was described issues ago of like, he's doing all this and fighting for his homeland. It's like, but that's just not going to be the case. And what they do is they flip over to a view of the island and a whole bunch of airplanes coming over and just carpet bombing the hell out of his island. And you can see it in just the two remaining eyeballs that Bane has of like, oh my God, what have they done? And that's the conclusion of this incredible freaking story. Got to show off the artwork, of course. It's just, man, like, look at this. Look at Batman with all the muscles and everything, assuming that that's what he would look like, if he were to take the Venom, which he does not. So we got the showdown here. All of it is being live streamed as well, so people are seeing it from all over. That's what Harley was able to do with her tech people. So here is where you have the Killer Croc going after the midsection Bane, and like you could just see the size of him. He's like enormous. Here's where he's trying to rip him off, and then that's where Batman jumps on top of him and able to stop him kind of temporarily there. But like, look at the size difference here, right? Like, it's just insanity. The size of a building and Batman in this is enormous too. He's built like a tank in this entire thing. So he just keeps smashing down and then finally gets to the point where he says, all right, I'll use the Venom. Catwoman shoots him, boom, injected with way too much at this point, and he just explodes. And now you just have the muscle and stuff all over the place. Batman brings in the dump truck, loads it up, and dumps it all out. And then at the end here, this is with Jack Napier, and then the carpet bombing begins, and then in Bane's eye, seeing the explosion. And then this is all that's left to him. The eyeballs, the brain, and I guess the spinal cord basically is what they were able to recover. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Awesome book, awesome story, 5 out of 5. You got to go ahead and check it out. It's the comic of the week. It damn near would have been the cover of the week if I didn't get the B cover for our very next book. So, Absolute Batman, number 14. Can't recommend it more. Probably the best comic that's going in comic books. And I don't feel like that's a hot take at all. That's like very lukewarm at best. Got to check it out. So, yeah. Absolute Batman, number 14. I gave it a 5. League gave it a 4.8. Next up here, from one absolute to another, we are going Absolute Wonder Woman number 14. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.4. But you see here for cover B, so incredible. This one is definitely going to be the cover of the week. For the audio folks, it's Wonder Woman with like her battle axe, or battle sword I should say, as though she's Cloud with the Buster sword, swung high above her head as though she's going to like swipe down, in like the most incredible looking artwork I've seen. All the cover Bs, they must be done by the same person because they just look so epic. So go ahead and look that up on League if you're an audio listener. Obviously, if you're a video person, you just see it up here. And so yeah, this story though, for me, not the greatest. I mean, I definitely wasn't leaning towards a 4.4. It firmly felt like a 4. Artwork is excellent, but the story I was like kind of so-so. So to catch you up, we have Wonder Woman. She's done all the incredible things that she's done. Last issue, and this is basically a 2-part arc, we had this force that Wonder Woman keeps fighting, and she doesn't know what it is. It's showing up randomly all over the world, and when she gets there, she like can't defeat it. Like, she just gets her ass handed to her no matter what she does. And at the very end of the issue 13, She realizes that this being, this entity, this whatever it is in the world as like an equal and opposite reaction to her being in the world, of being this force of good, of justice. Now you need like an equally chaotic thing that's in the world. So now we're in issue 14, and with that realization, Wonder Woman realizes that she needs the help of the gods on this one. And so they try to find where the next place is that this entity is going to attack, and it's a place in Greece. She's like, perfect, I can then commune with the gods. She does like this blood sacrifice to try to commune with Gaia, right? The god of the planet. And so she does the sacrifice, Gaia accepts, pulls her down by the roots into like the center of the earth, and starts to have, this conversation with Gaia and Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman's trying to plead to her of like, I know why you have her in this world, because I am like this force of good, and you need to like counteract this. But there's far more evil that outweighs what I'm doing for good. And like just names off all the terrible political stuff that you could imagine, right? Just big billionaires, doing all the horrible stuff that they're doing, big tech companies that are, doing everything that they can to get users and brainwashing people and like keeping you addicted to social media, all the big, pharma and all the other companies. Just goes names off all the list of all the terrible stuff that we all deal with every single day of our lives. And then Gaia is basically like, you know what? You're right. And so because of that, I am going to correct what I have done and then remove this entity from Earth. So she sends Wonder Woman back up to the surface, and then she pulls down whatever this entity creature is, and then they're eliminated. So quick and easy and simple. That's why I thought just a 4. I don't think it was really anything above and beyond that, other than to let's just make some social commentary here, which is fine. No issue with that, but it just doesn't push it any higher to like a 4 or 5, like what League was thinking. And at the end here, Steve is like kind of surveilling around Gate City and listening to, different radio chatter and so on and so forth. And they got this newscast up, and it looks like there's a symbol that's spray painted or etched into the side of a wall, and it's a symbol of Hakat. And so she's like, uh-oh, here comes Hakat, the god that she keeps, speaking to, and has given her all these boons in the first place. What all could this mean? So issue 15 is definitely going to be a good one to jump into. This is the conclusion of this 2-part arc. So 13 would be better to jump into so you get the full context, but you can kind of skip it, to be honest with you. Just go ahead and pick up at 15, assuming the quality of what Absolute Wonder Woman has been continues into 15. It'd be a good place to start there, would be my guess. So either 13 and then 14, or just wait till 15, in my opinion. So with that, let's show off some of the artwork here that is so excellent as well. Here's a look at the cover A, if you're curious. And the fighting that's taking place here with her and this entity. And it kind of looks like her, but it kind of doesn't. It's like this. It almost looks like it's wearing her armor, but you can't actually see the figure that she is. And so here's where they're coming up with the realization of, I got to make some sort of sacrifice. And she does. So she goes falling down into the planet. And then here's where all the vines and stuff and roots of Gaia are reaching out. Here's Gaia herself. They're having their conversation. Here's where Gaia comes to the realization of like, oh yeah, there's some really horrible stuff in this world. Wonder Woman's not even putting a dent into this. So, all right, you're right, child. I'm going to pull this entity being away. And then the conversation with Steve and the symbol of Hakat here at the end. It says next the Batman. So we'll see what that means as well. So I wonder if now the Absolute Universe is going to collapse down into things are, starting to join up together as we get towards the end of really All In, or at least the next phase of All In for DC anyways. So yeah, that is Absolute Wonder Woman number 14. Again, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.4. Then next up here is going to be Hornsby and Halo. So this is a continuation of our journey with Rose and Zach. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.1. So right on pace with what League was thinking. Story here is Zach is a highborn of heaven, and Rose is a highborn of hell. As babies, they were sent down to Earth as this kind of pact to stop this war between heaven and hell. And the punishment was that Rose, the highborn of hell, is going to be raised by this really good family, and Zach, the opposite, can be raised by this terrible family. And it's almost going to be like an experiment in order to keep this truce going on. But some of the demons and angels do not like this at all, and they want to try to get their highborns back. So we are in New York City now, where both of the parents were brought there for separate reasons, but it was really like an entrapment thing. So the Rose's parents were called for a charity. It turns out the money was stolen, so they're being wanted by the police or the FBI or something. And then Zach's parents, they run a funeral home, but they will steal the jewelry of the deceased, and they'll like let grave robbers know, hey, here's the plot, go in, and then they take a cut of that money. And so now they're trying to, I think, set up with a new person to sell to the jewelry. And of course they get caught on that. So the parents are now out of the picture at the start of issue number 12. And then Zach and Rose, they were in their separate hotel rooms, but they were being drawn to something. So they're in the subway station, on the subway. Some homeless people see them who are like drunk, and like they don't realize that they're actually looking at like angels and demons. So that's a little funny scene. On the subway, they get this feeling to stop the subway, and they do. And they get out, and they see these brick walls, but some of them are not the same as the other brick. So they go, and then they like phase through it. And so when they get through on the other side, it's like this old library that was put together, and they hear this piano playing. In the middle is this guy who has wings, and he introduces himself as a Nephilim, a half-born, so half angel, half human. And he's been around for thousands of years. And basically this room is designed for, there's a pact where all the Nephilim had to be either brought back to heaven or like sent to hell, but they couldn't be on Earth anymore. And he's like the last one because he refused to go and has been like hiding and on the run. He's supposed to go here and I guess sacrifice himself and decide if he's going to leave or not. And he shows up constantly. And he's been doing this for years, but then he just decides to leave every time. It's like, I'm too much of a coward. But while they're in this room, there's like a mine cart that can take you, I guess, further into maybe the processing place or whatever. And so Rose and Zach, they get on it and they engage it and they head off. And so when they leave, then it's the demon and angel that set this whole thing up. They're on the trail of Zach and Rose. They get into the room after the cart has already left, and the Nephilim is there, and the Nephilim knows that they're up to some, slimy tricks or whatever, and so they start to fight, and that's the cliffhanger at the end there. So it was a good book. It feels more like just a continuation of the story, and then we should have something pretty climatic in issue number 13. You'd be fine if you jumped into this one. You're going to have some confusion as far as like what's all is being built up, but if you've been listening and you understand like, hey, here's the premise, I think you're going to be fine. I think it also does a pretty good synopsis at the beginning of each issue as well. So issue 12, no issue there. We'll jump in it. Let's go ahead and show off the artwork. It's always been excellent on the artwork side of things. This is more of a focus in the subway and then in that library, so a lot of darker hues and tones and things like that. A good mix, I'd say, of both art and the conversation pieces between both. I do like the contrast of the red from the demons and then the blue and white angelic view as well. So it really makes each one of the panels like pop really nicely. And you have this nice like yellow text bubble for the Nephilim too. The blue, of course, the angels, and the red for the demon. So when you're flipping through the pages, all of them like pop really nicely for each of those panels. And then a really nice splash at the end here with this demon and angel attacking the Nephilim as our cliffhanger. So yeah, great little issue there. It's Hornsby and Halo, issue number 12. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.1. And then next up here from Robert Kirkman, we have Skinbreaker, issue number 3. So this one is awesome. I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.4. Very much on the same page with League. We have the continuation of an interesting series because the artwork is really good, but like the writing is done extraordinarily well, but it's not a lot of text bubble and speech. It's like has to deal with these orcs. And so a lot of the storytelling is just a mix of the art, but more specifically like the emotion and piecing things together in your head. But I think Kirkman does a phenomenal job of like leading you there, and then you're easily just connecting the points in your head. So it's pretty masterful, and I'm loving the story too. It like tugs at the heartstrings a lot. So we have our chief, and our chief just not recently, he became chief in issue number 2. But he's been chief for a while now. And so the way that it works in this orc society is chieftain gets old, and it gets to the point, excuse me, where someone else in the tribe who's younger challenges the chief, and it's literally a trial, by combat. And if the younger one or whoever challenges defeats the current chief, and it's a defeating like by death, then that person is the new chief. So that's what happened. Issue number 1, we had an older chieftain in our main character. He was defending that chief because he felt like he still had plenty to teach, but it got to the point then when there was like I guess a lot of conflict within the tribe too, thinking that the chief is too old, that he's not strong enough, that he's holding people back. So another guy was going to challenge for it, who seemed like he was going to take the whole tribe way further back. And so he's like, crap, I don't want to kill my mentor. I think he still has a lot to give, but I got to lead rather than this other guy. So he's the one that actually does the challenge. He wins it. And then at the end of issue number 2, it shows the whole time lapse of like he's been chief this whole time. Now he's in the same place as where his mentor was all these years later. So now issue number 3 starts. And there's been a lot of progress in this tribe. They're using a lot of technology that they haven't done previously because it would have been, viewed as weak or like, what are we doing? We should be focusing on strength and honor and not like trying to work on like technology. Like that's not what we do. But they have now a system where like water, they can get fresh water within the tribe without going out and hunting for it. And they have all these traps set out, which makes hunting less dangerous than it was previously. So a lot of like quality of life things that have objectively increased. But our current protagonist chief, he is at the point now where he's like, I'm at that age that you were, but I don't feel like I have a successor like I feel like you did. And he feels the burden of that and as though he's failed. And so he goes and walks up, I guess it's like the chief path, and where previous chiefs have passed away and only a chief can go up there. So he goes up there to, basically meditate. And when he's up there, one of these huge monster things attacks. And the best way to describe, I'll show off the art, of course. You can see it from the cover. But they almost look like Alien, like the aliens in the movie Alien. They kind of look like that, except they're enormous. So one attacks him, and when it attacks, he runs away a little bit, and to the point where there's a cliff, and he ducks under it, and the beast goes flying over, and he's okay, and he heads back in to warn the tribe of like, oh my gosh, one got in. And so as he goes and does that, there's another one that gets in, and they all start fighting it. Some people are running, some people are afraid, but there's this other guy who's been injured, and he's able to slay the beast. And then so everything's okay, but this is the first time that they've ever been attacked like this. So the chief is like, oh my gosh, well, I guess we got to set up new traps. We got to figure this out. Like, how are we going to be able to defend ourselves? Now everything's all compromised. It's going to take some time, but we're going to be able to build through this. And the other guy's like, well, what are you talking about? We don't need to do any of that stuff. I just defended the tribe right now. We're totally fine if we stay here. And it's like, then he goes, Chief, I think you're slacking, and I want to challenge you. So now it's like, oh no, here we go. And you could think of it as a person in 2025 seeing like, okay, clearly the chief now is leading towards progress and things are trying to get better in a modern sense. And this other guy is just trying to stick to tradition. And you can see that that is not going to be the way that it would successfully lead to the tribe continuing for many generations. And so at first the chief like backs out. He's like, no, I'm not going to accept that challenge. And then the challenge is like, really, you're going to be a coward? Like, that's obviously against our traditions. And then the chief's like, nah, you know what? Screw it. Challenge on. And that's our cliffhanger. So it's a cool book. The emotion behind it, how you feel internally as you're reading through it, of like, it pulls on a lot of emotional strings. And it does an excellent job of doing that with very few words. It's all done through the art. It's incredible. Great book. Great book. So, again, if I gave it a 4.4, you know? So that's how you know. So let's go into the artwork here. And, like, look at the eyes here. Like, you can just tell looking through this, like, how the detail is. And it's, like, this crazy post-apocalyptic world. A whole bunch of, like, vines and, like, this jungle. And they're orcs, right? So the conversation is all just very limited. But the facial expression is what lets you know and conveys, here's how he's feeling, here's how the world feels. You have the words that help it, but in actuality, it's the feeling behind the facial expression that lets you know truly, like, this is what is happening here. And here's a great shot of the beast that attacks him while he's on that chieftain path, and he goes flying over. Nice little splash there. And then attacking inside the tribe, where we have the other guy, he comes in, takes the thing out, and the chief is like, oh man, this is horrible. And so the other guy's like, what are you talking about? I defended this, no problem. So I'm going to challenge you. And at first it's a no, and then he's like, you know what? Challenge on. So excited for issue number 4. Is it a good one to jump into? I mean, it's only issue 3. You should really start from the beginning. I think that would be the place to go. But if you jumped into this one, you'd be fine. You'd understand the whole premise of what we're getting at. It's basically a repeat of issue number 1, except the difference here is that our chief doesn't have a successor, and now he's being challenged while at the similar age of what his mentor was at. So is he going to be able to defend it? So that's the thing. Alrighty, now back to DC. We're going to go DCKO issue number 2. So this one, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.1. So very similar there. That all makes sense. Larger and longer book. This is 40 pages, so it's a $6 book. Just kind of keep that in mind. I think the artwork is there, but the storytelling is good. I mean, it's not great. It's not so-so. It's just good. What we have is a tournament that's going on, and the best way to describe it is a battle royale. If you're familiar with the video game kind of context of that, where everyone is trying to become effectively the dark side of Earth. So they figured out the only way to stop Darkseid is basically become him or the same power level. And we can do that by going to like the center of the Earth, I want to say. And the same way that Darkseid got this Omega power, we can now have another one, and then they can go head to head. But only one person can have it. And so they all crashed into like this little portal, and it was 64 of them to start. We've now whittled it down to 32, and it's a tournament. So this round here, there's only 16 that are going to advance, and we got 16 MacGuffins from the DC universe that each one could get. Like, there's a Blue Beetle's Scarab, there's the Lasso of Truth, there's a Mother Box. There's a whole bunch of the 16 different entities and things that you can imagine that are out in the DC universe. Gather that magical thing, possess it, and you will go to the next round. Round ends when all 16 things are possessed. So 15 we know about. 1 is a mystery. Superman in particular, it was like, I really don't care who advances. I just can't let Lex advance. Because that's literally the one person who can't get to the Omega power in the end. So he's trying to do everything in his power basically to stop him. And so they start fighting. But before they entered this tournament, Lex was in the astral plane, and I guess he forged a weapon or a sword from there. And he slashes at Superman, and he literally cuts his hand off. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. And then he impales him with a whole bunch of these kryptonite spikes. So Superman is down and out. Then a lot of the issue are some of the other heroes and villains that are going after the different things, and it's kind of like paired off into other individuals. But, you know, the main focus is what's going on between Superman and Lex. So Lex is like, cool, Superman's neutralized. I'm going after the power rings, which are basically like the Infinity Stones, but in the DC universe. So they get to the rings. He fights, I forget who it is. And he's only able to grab one of the ring while the other person grabs all the rest of them. But the ring he grabs is the black ring. And she's like, well, what does it matter? There's no one dead here. That controls the dead. You're not going to be able to do anything. It's like, au contraire, the arena that they're in is where Darkseid killed all his other fellow gods. So he uses the black ring, and it summons these gods. And so now Lex is like, oh, it's perfect. I'm going to take my chance now to go and kill Superman. So he starts to go after him as everyone else is still gathering all these other things. And then Superman starts to think. There was like a riddle at the beginning. It was like, even if you do what Darkseid did, there's like a certain special thing, and that's the 16th item that you will get. And so what Superman realizes, and he solves the riddle, is that what Darkseid did is he sacrificed himself. So Superman takes one of the kryptonite spikes out of his shoulder, and he stabs himself in the heart, sacrificing himself. And sure enough, he does not die, but he comes back stronger than ever. Not quite at the level of what Darkseid is now, but basically with the power of Darkseid. And that was one of the last items. The final item is grabbed right before Lex and Superman start to fight each other. The round's over. 16 advance. and then we're on to the next one, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, that was basically the story. Crazy. Cool. I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. There's been a lot of hype behind this. It's featured all throughout AEW and their promo and marketing. So it's a huge, huge, huge push. I don't quite know if it's living up to expectation. We're at a teetering point. It depends how issue 3 is going to go. This was fine. It was serviceable, but I can imagine that the next one, if it's not as good or better, this has flop potential just because how much money that they poured into the thing. I'm enjoying it from a comic book fan perspective, but I could tell they're really trying to get casuals in on this, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to. So with that all being said, it's good. You're fine to start here. You might as well get issue number 1, but you'd be fine if you jumped into issue number 2 because it's all tournament style anyways. So each issue is going to be like a new round. So let's go ahead and show off some of that artwork. Really cool cover that you have here. So it's got like this KO, but it's like the KO is transparent and then like kind of black border around it, and then you see the actual cover here. There's like this discussion with the Trinity. They're playing a board game kind of beforehand, but most of this takes place in the actual tournament itself. You can see a list of all the different items that we have that everyone's going to be going after, and then it begins. And so it's just the fight is on from there, going kind of back and forth. Let's see, I should be able to find where Superman's hand gets cut off because everyone wants to see that, I'd imagine. I might have passed it already. Yes, there it is. Boom. Slashed right there from the astral plane blade. And then a lot of it is just kind of the continuation of the different fights. Here's where Lex now has raised these other dead gods. And so from here, Superman realizes the ultimate sacrifice he needs to make. So he takes his own life, but resurrects with this Omega level power. So they're about to fight off against one another, but the final piece is secured. And that is the end. Oh, and I forgot to mention the final thing that happens here is Darkseid is still alive, and Darkseid is now going to enter the tournament in the next round. So I guess there will be a 17th person that enters as well. So yeah, that is DCKO issue number 2. Good book, but we'll see if they can continue it. And then the final one from this week is going to be Justice Unlimited issue number 13. Plot here is pretty simplistic. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.6. I can certainly see a 3.5. I think I went more towards a 4 just because of the artwork. But the story is like super bland. So we have Mr. Terrific and all the other leftover heroes that are not in the KO book. They are fighting in a combination of hell and on Earth. So I guess basically with all the heroes gone, demons in hell are trying to take over. They basically feel this is their opportunity. And I forget what it was from the previous issue, but a lot of the villains made some sort of pact with hell, and hell is giving them like a bunch of additional power. So they're fighting as though they are like their true supervillain contemporaries, even though they're all kind of minor villains. And so all the other heroes are like, what the hell? Like, why are we getting beat up like this? And then they realize like, oh, hell is enhancing their power. So Mr. Terrific pulls together a Justice League of different heroes from different timelines, because they're all stuck in this one time, to go into hell and then to try to defeat whatever is giving these powers to the folks on top. So you have Mr. Terrific and crew fighting in hell, and then you have the rest of the folks fighting on Earth. That's basically it. That's the story. And so it doesn't get to the point of like, did they get there or not? Like, they're just continuing to fight down there, like the different layers basically. And so the artwork here is pretty good, and I think that's the biggest reason for the 4. Other than that, the story is very simplistic that you have going here. So obviously in hell, a lot of fire and hellscape and different blasts and things like that. And then on Earth, like, it's basically an apocalypse that's happening. So they're doing their best to try to keep everything at bay as much as they can. And then the fighting is basically continuing in both hell and on Earth. So yeah, that is Justice League Unlimited issue number 13. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.6. Simple enough there. Now on to the backlog. So we have Batman and Robin issue number 15. Lee gave it a 4.1. I gave it a 4.5. I actually enjoyed this one a lot. A lot of emotion in this one. So what we're dealing right now is with Memento, And Memento was a killer back when Bruce was like college age. There was this Memento killer out in the UK. And we're under the impression now that it is a copycat killer. So if you remember, last issue is Bruce and Damian attending a charity gala. Underneath it was some shenanigans going on. Bruce investigates, and there he sees Memento. And so now the whole place is on fire, and Robin is up at the gala part trying to get people out, and Bruce is down below. And so Memento has disappeared, and Bruce is just trying to escape. But while he's trying to escape, there's an explosion that happens up top. Damian does his best to try to protect everyone, but the girl he was talking to in issue number 6, she dies from the explosion, and he's not able to save her in time. I was like, oh my gosh, they actually just killed that girl. And so it's weighing very heavily on Damian for obvious reasons. He brushed her off in the previous issue and thought she was annoying, and now he couldn't even save her and is like dead. I was like, oh my goodness. And so I felt for him like a lot, and that was the big reason that kind of pushed it over. I was like, man. So now there are a lot of stakes, for Damian, for Robin as well. And Batman and Robin are trying to figure out, well, who could it be? It's got to be a copycat killer of some sort. There's no way it's the actual Memento. And they're trying to figure out, like, what all it could be. And their best guess is, like, he's going to start to try to create a whole bunch of chaos and start some sort of civil war within Gotham. And sure enough, then it goes to a bunch of goons waiting at the docks in Gotham for a shipment of contraband to come in. And they're radio out to this boat that's supposed to drop it off, and on the boat they're like, yeah, we're going to be there in a couple seconds. But Memento then shows up, catches the whole boat on fire, and then kills everyone. And so the boat is still going full charge towards the dock, and then when it gets there, it runs into the dock and explodes. And now it's like, is this going to start some sort of war of whatever group was supposed to deliver the goods? And I think it's the Penguin, but now they really don't know, like, who actually did it, right? So, and Memento's in the background, and only Bruce and Robin, or Batman and Robin, know about Memento. So it's interesting. Things are definitely picking up. I'm liking it. That's why I gave it a 4.5. Pretty cool place to jump into. You'd probably want to start off with 14, but again, this book came out November of last year, so quite a while ago. We're way further into Batman and Robin now, but things are picking up again, and I'm really enjoying the series. So show off some of the artwork here. Here's where everything's on fire with Bruce. Down below, Robin's up top. And then Bruce, here's the explosion. He saves this guy, but he's not able to save the girl here. And I was like, oh man, did she actually die? And like, yeah, dude, she's dead. So terrible. And like, Damian just can't get over it. It's like, terrible. And so here they are training about it. He's still thinking about it. And I was like, dang, I can imagine. I was kind of getting emotional too. It's like, damn, Damian, you saved everyone else but her. And they're just investigating, trying to figure it out. Basically pieces together that Memento's going to be doing all this stuff. Here are those guys out on the dock. Here's out on the boat with Memento, lighting the boat on fire, and then boom, it goes flying into the dock, creating more chaos in Gotham. So yeah, Batman and Robin, issue number 15. Again, I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.1. Alrighty, then we get to Kingdom Riders. So I've come to the conclusion now, it's for sure more of a kiddie book. It's just not gotten to the point where anything interesting beyond surface level has taken place. The story has been very straightforward thus far, and it continues to be. So we're in this interesting kingdom world where we have kind of a serfdom type of civilization, and so these girls are in debt to this guy. He's wealthy. They have this big race in this kingdom every year, and one of the girls was about to be freed, but this ox died, and now she's like, or the guy's like, I can't free you because we got to pay off the debt and pay back this ox. So now she's all upset about it, but our main character Kayla, she runs all these errands for him. She's able to not escape, but get into different places and get all these valuable things that he asked for. And so she thinks that she's actually going to be able to enter this race, and so she does. But we find out that this race is very dangerous. People die in it. So we're trying to understand what all is going to happen here. But she convinces him and says, bet on me on the race. I'm going to win it, and I'm going to be able to have all the money to pay back the ox, and then we can free, the girl. And so he agrees, more from an entertainment perspective than anything. but he does. And she has this, it's behemoth frog, like a frog-hemoth is what it is. So that's what she uses to help get her to the different places and get all these valuable things for him. So she's going to enter the race with him. And now I'm at to the point where I read it in the book. There's a blacksmith that's, part of the same little settlement. He wants to help out, puts together like a really nice saddle to put on top of the frog. So they get all that set up. And while they're finalizing that, Kayla, who's our main character, and the other girl who's about to be freed, the other girl's like, well, Kayla, have you seen any of these races? And she's like, no, but, I'm really good riding, so I'll be fine. And like, no. You got to, learn some tactics here and some strategy. Let's go and meet up with the other kids who can then tell you about the race because they're obsessed with it. That's all they care about. And so they'll be able to share, a whole bunch of different details. And sure enough, each one of the kids talks about their craziest moment or most insane moment or things to look out for. And there are different strategies of well, here's what the rules say, but here's what you can actually do. Or I've heard someone do this. I saw someone do that. And it's and then they compare notes and contrast to what actually happened as far as results. So now she's got a bit of a strategy heading in. And now the saddle's complete and it's time to head into town to get ready for qualifying. And so she heads and leaves everyone and is about to head into town. And we're about to start up qualifying. So yeah, Kingdom Riders. It's cool. I mean, it's kiddie, but it's good, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a kids TV show, but it's very good. So kind of similar thing happens here. So some of the artwork behind everything, here's where they're trying to get the saddle ready. Here's where she's talking with all the kids and learning about the different strategies and everything. And then towards the end here, kind of a heart-to-heart moment of be careful, this is super dangerous. And now they're basically saying their goodbyes. Kayla grabs her frog and she's about to head into town, get ready for qualifying. So I'm enjoying it, but yeah, it's definitely meant for a younger audience, but here I am, I'm enjoying it. So that's Kingdom Riders, and League doesn't have a rating on this one, so I will be one of the first to rate it, so excited for that. All right, continuation here. Now we get to Superman issue number 16. Again, this is from 2017. This is the Rebirth era, and this is Multiplicity. So this issue is going to be the climax of what Multiplicity is about. We have a bunch of Supermen being captured across the 52 universes, but our Superman in Earth is actually a new Superman. So he wasn't on the list, but he's a Superman nonetheless. So it's okay, let's bait this guy, and his name is Prophecy, by gathering all the other remaining Supermen together. And so that's what they did. Prophecy shows up, and then our main Superman's okay, you guys go, and then I'm going to confront him and then take him out. Obviously, he's not able to take him out. Gets his powers stripped away very easily, and now we're fully into the issue, and there's all these other Supermen across the different universes are in basically the slave camp, and they've all been stripped of their powers. But our Superman had a MacGuffin with him. It's some sort of radio box thing. But Prophecy was cocky. He was you can have this. It's just going to play music. And he just leaves it there while they're doing all the slave labor. And then he leaves. So then back on the ship where they're traveling between all these universes, they're okay, well, the box is there. We can create another one. And then we can teleport to where exactly they are doing all this slave labor. And so they're okay, but if we did that, it would literally take 1,000,000 years to develop this thing. So then they got Red Racer, who's on the ship, and he's you know what? I can do it together as a speedster, but it's going to cost a lot. And they're we can't ask you to do this, but Red Racer's it's the only way that we can save the multiverse, so I'm going to do it. So he speeds through and puts it all together in no time. But he literally kills himself doing it. He is withered to nothing but bone from going so fast and compressing 1,000,000 years of time to build this box. So he basically sacrifices himself to build it. But he does. And so now the box communicates with the other, transports all the Supermen there. Now, here's the weird part. Somehow all the ones in the slave camp now suddenly get back their powers. Didn't really explain how that happened, but they do. So now it's all the Supermen across all 52 universes. Prophecy's there. They fight him. They take him out easily. All is well. But Prophecy then meets up with this other great god, and it's I know we sent you there. It was just the wrong place, wrong time. You will have your chance at some other point. Ominous little cliffhanger, but we'll see what happens. So that's it. that's what happens. Show off the artwork. Story's fine. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. The artwork, though, is excellent. From the here's the actual issue. From the level of saturation, I thought was excellent. Great facial, great action. Here's Red Racer, who's dead. The shock value that actually happened to, I was like, dang, that actually took place. Prophecy, the fight up here. Here's where all the Supermen start to get their powers back. They all attack as one. And you got this big fight going on of Superman from all different universes, which is cool. They're able to get the win, which is great and all. And then now we got to see where things are going to head from here. I guess the next issue is going to be Dark Harvest, which I think is the start of the like a brand new arc. But we'll have just this last issue in the trade, and then that's it. Reminder for this, I bought this for a white elephant gift is what it was. So I just kind of randomly bought it. I was like, Superman, someone will read it, trying to get other people into comics. But I ended up picking my own gift. So that's the whole reason I have it in the first place. It's a very, very odd book to have, but that's why I have it. So yeah, that's Superman issue number 16, again from 2017. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. And then last but not least, we're continuing with Saga. This is going to be the longest backlog that I have. So I'm going to try to weave pretty much an issue into each episode kind of moving forward. So you can see from the share screen, this is issue 32, which is the kind of the cover issue of the trade as well. And this was an excellent issue. Lee gave it a 4.6. I gave it a 4.5. We have Alana and Marco back together, reunited, working together. The long and the short, if you missed the previous issue, if this is your first time kind of tuning in and you don't know what Saga is, well, lucky for you, you're about to hear about one of the greatest stories ever in the history of comics for sure. We got Marco and Alana. They are from two warring civilizations. So Marco's from this moon planet, and then Alana is from the actual planet. Alana's people have wings, Marco's people have horns. They don't like each other. It's very Romeo and Juliet. But these two have a love child together, literally in issue 1. And all the shenanigans and craziness that come with two warring nations, with these two people that are actually together and having a child together. And then plus the way that it's drawn and the way that it's written, it's like crazy over the top. Tons of funny moments. It's incredible. So here they've been separated for a while. They finally came back together. They're trying to find their daughter Hazel, who's like maybe 7 or 8 at this point. And so they're going into an archive base of one of the landfall archive rooms to see if they could find where their ship went to. And so Alana got a tip. It's in here. They go in. They infiltrate. They get to the place where it has the archive. They sure enough read about a grandmother and a daughter, one with horns, the other girl with horns. And so like, this has to be them. And it looks like they took them to a detention center. So they're basically getting ready. But now they're compromised. People are showing up. So they turn to each other and they're like super high up in this high rise. And there's a spaceship that they've been flying. It's like literally a treehouse space. And so Alana's like, I think I know how this thing works, even though she's having so much trouble with it. It's like, if you need it, it's going to work. And so they go and just jump out the window, assuming that the treehouse is going to catch them. And then Marco's like, are you crazy? It's like, you got to trust me. And so he does, and they jump out. And sure enough, they land into the treehouse and they're safe and they're good to go. And it's the first time that they are like romantic together, like God knows how long. It's so many issues because they've been fighting a lot since things have just gone to shit. And so now it's like these two together as one, going after to go and save their daughter. Hell yeah. But before they do, like, we're going to need some help because we have to infiltrate this much larger base. And so they're going for Prince Robot. And it's like these kind of computer robot civilization guys that have been helping out one side of the war. And all the back and forth that they had, enemy now turned friend. He's on this remote planet with his son. And he's basically like a nomad. And he has his son who was like a literal baby when this book started. And now he's like, I don't know, like 6 or something at this point. He actually might be the same exact age as Hazel. And it looks like they're about to recruit him to come back to help out as well. So excellent stuff. Now, the thing is with Saga, I do have to be super careful with nudity because it does happen in this book. But here they are, fighting their way through the archives, which is great. You can see from the art, which is excellent, but then the storytelling is, it's the combination of the whole thing. It is truly the full package. But here's where they get to the archive, where they're compromised at first, and then they're like, okay, we got to jump onto this little treehouse spaceship, and so they do. And then from here, that's where they make it on, and then from there, I think they start making love after that. So we won't turn to the next page there. But yeah, it's excellent stuff. It's continuing to be exactly what I thought it was. Issue 31, I was like, not quite hitting the same feels as I recall. Issue 32 was. So we're back at it for sure. And again, I'll just kind of continuing to review and catch up to everything. This is volume 6. I think there's 12 volumes at this point, so about halfway through. I know the collection of books was up through 9, then I picked up the trade on 10, and then I started picking up the singles at 11, and I think I have like 12-ish of the singles. So yeah, that makes about volume 12. So yeah, about halfway through the story on Saga, and we'll just continue through it. Issue 32, I gave it a 4.5, Lee gave it a 4.6. Came back out this issue in 2015. Man, crazy. But 10 years ago, and it hits just as good in 2025. So with that, let's just recap all the books real quick so you have the full list. So we reviewed Absolute Batman, issue number 14, the big fight between Batman and Bane. Then we had Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 14. Basically Wonder Woman getting help from Gaia. Hornsby and Halo, issue number 12. Rose and Zack meeting the Nephilim. Skinbreakers, issue number 3. Our Chieftain is now being challenged for the title. DCKO, it looks like we have 16 competitors, both Superman and Lex advancing. Justice League Unlimited, issue number 13, continuing to fight on Earth and in Hell. Batman and Robin, issue number 15, discovering that Memento is definitely back, and can they stop him before he creates more chaos in Gotham. Kingdom Riders, Kayla getting prepared for qualifications for this dangerous race. Superman, issue number 16, it's all the Superman across the 52 universes, destroying prophecy. And then Saga, issue number 32, we got Marco and Alana working together again and going after their daughter Hazel. So those are the books that we reviewed. I think with that, we will go ahead and talk about the polls for next week. So we are locked and loaded with 6 books that we have for next week. So 2 back-to-back 6s, which is pretty nice as far as just staying on top of everything. We have Absolute Green Lantern, issue number 9. G.I. Joe, issue number 15. Kill All Immortals, issue number 2. Kill All Immortals 2, issue number 2. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, issue number 41. Rook Exodus, issue number 9. And The Ultimate Universe, 2 years in, number 1. Which 2 years in basically means to me an annual, if you will. So yeah, those are the books. The annual may show up, it may not. I'd imagine it will, though. And so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to G.I. Joe for sure. Rook Exodus is going to be dope. And then the Ultimates, those are probably my top 3 out of those 6. So yeah, I think that is it for our show, folks. We'll go ahead and close it out. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Sorry if the voice was a little scratchy throughout. Finding a little bit of like a sore throat and some congestion, but still wanted to get a show out to you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you trying to catch the show somewhere else than where you found it, the show's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube as well. In the description below, you'll see all the social media places where you can follow the show too. And if you'd like, you can help support the show at buymeacoffee.com/SaturdayMorningReview. You can leave a tip there if you so desire. But yeah, be sure to subscribe so that way you don't miss a show, and it helps me out tremendously. Feel free to comment on ways that I can improve. Always open to feedback. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and close it out. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.